how would you like to make your first million? And today we have Frank Gessner with us, and he is an entrepreneur, investor, and former president of EO Berlin, who has built, scaled, and exit multiple companies over the past decade. After leading several companies simultaneously, he recognized a critical pattern. Problems are really execution problems. They are clarity problems at the founder level. This I agree. Today he's the creator of LifePilot, an inner leadership system designed for founder CEO to stabilize direction, improve decision quality, and eliminate strategic drift through structured decision architecture called the founder's life plan. So Frank, tell us, this is right in your backyard, easy for you. What are the 5 steps you recommend entrepreneurs in order to make the first million of product market fit?
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
So step one is get total clarity, brutal, honest clarity about what you actually want. Have full clarity of vision, clarity of intent. So success as an entrepreneur does not come by becoming even more expert level genius guy. You have to become a good leader, since in the end, we don't build companies, we build teams. And the more clear you are as the founder, especially if your business is very founder centric, the more brutal clarity you have for yourself, what you actually want, the more you can bring this into the company. Step two, get stable as the founder. And stable means in all life areas. If you build up a business on the account of your health, it will not succeed. If you build up a business against your family or friends, it will not succeed. Your family and yourself, you're part of the community. If your business is not fitting into this, is not aligned with it, you will not succeed. So get stable as the founder, since the more unstable you are, the more your company will drift, right? Third, build decision filters. Stop adding new projects which are not contributing to your long-term success, and eliminate everything that's not in your core. We founders, we entrepreneurs, we love to make things complex and even more complex, and have another version of the product and another market, and there's another opportunity around the corner for short-term revenue opportunities. Entrepreneurs in the first phase usually build too much complexity. And complexity is increasing much faster than resources are. So that means drama appears, fight for resources, conflicts, right? That means the company is drifting and people try to work around it, and everything, the larger it gets, the more complex it gets to make decisions, right? 4, simplify. Simplify as you scale. Every successful business, every fast scaling business are simple business models, rather simple business models. They say no to whatever the 5% or the 10% niche cases or edge cases. They say no to everything that's not the core of their business. They rather partner with others, right? And 5, and last but not least, it's not only enough to be stable and clear about what you want, you also have to be able to align everyone around you on this vision. So you have to get kind of not only your leadership team or your team around you, also your partners, your suppliers, your vendors, everyone, kind of, if they don't know what you want, how should they follow you, right? So first, kind of step one is get brutally clear about what you want. Second is stabilize yourself as the founders. Third is build decision filters that you stop adding and start eliminating. Fourth is simplify your business as you scale. And fourth is communicate it that you get alignment around you, and then you will win.
clarity. Let's expand on this a little bit more, Frank, because entrepreneurs out there, they need to find clarity in so many fronts. So the first clarity that they have to find out is what kind of product they want to offer to the marketplace that will solve the problem. And sometimes that it doesn't matter how I see out there, it doesn't matter how clear the entrepreneur have this is the product that I want to sell. If the market doesn't want to buy the product, it's not gonna work. So the first clarity, Frank, that the entrepreneur should have is have clear what is the product that the market is willing to buy and in what form and for how much, right?
Well, I would slightly have a slightly
Okay.
different perspective on this, right? This is kind of and I see this for 30 years. I not only built up my own companies, 10 of them, but also invest in other companies and also improve. I see many, many companies. And this is the typical situation I see that founders or entrepreneurs have a solution, they have a product, they have a service, and now they look for a market and for a business problem to solve where this product might be of help, right? And my proposal is get clarity about what problems you want to solve, right? And then you will find the right products and right services. And if the product A is not the best one, you build a product B and product C, right? Or the service B or service C, right? Get clarity about what problem you
What
want to solve,
problem do you want to solve?
right? And also what company you want to build, right? How many entrepreneurs see themselves ending up in a company they don't want to have, right? So they started with a product company, then they had whatever negative market feedback, so they built a consulting company, but they hate consulting and the way around, right? What do you want? Right? And I have three daughters, and if there's one thing I'm teaching them for, I mean, already adults, right? But I'm already teaching them for decades. It's so much harder to find out what you want than to reach it. Once you know, doors get open, you meet someone, whatever, right? You read the right book. Once you know what you want, you get it. But if you don't know what you actually want, it's really hard.
So what's the process? How people can find clarity?
So clarity for this, I built kind of this LifePilot system, right? It starts with yourself, right? What is important for you, right? Do you want to have financial independence? How important is your family? How important is your health? How important are your friends, right? Then we usually entrepreneurs, they work quite hard, right? Many entrepreneurs are, 60 hours, 80 hours a week. They work really, really hard, right? So, but you cannot do this for a long period of time if you don't get energy from what you do. So what is actually giving you energy? What is your purpose in life? Why? What is your, right? What actually, the more I do it, the more energy I get. For example, my purpose in life is having a positive impact on myself and on everyone around you, right? Or around me. So it means kind of with all my mentoring I do for entrepreneurs with LifePilot, the more I do it, the more energy I get, right? So you start with yourself and then you define for North Star for yourself, what does it mean in 10, 15 years? And what does it mean for all my four life areas? Professional, my company, my friends, personally for myself as well as community. And then you bring it down to what does it mean? Annual goals, quarterly priorities, focus, decision filters, and so on. And you get a kind of a flight plan for your journey. And things become so much easier. And it's quite easy. And I see so many companies fail since at the top there's a lack of clarity.
Clearly, the founder and the CEO, I think that the company is the reflection of how the founder feels. 100% agree with you. You see that if the founder, we all been there building the first company.
The more founder-centric a business is, the more the business will amplify the founder's clarity or whatever confusion of the founder. It will also be amplified. And everyone tries to build around it, right? So they're starting new initiatives. The next great founder idea will be started, but never really finished. And right, success is not compounding. And right, complexity is then, and it's never the market. It's never outside. It's usually kind of in-house if companies start to struggle.
And then The interesting thing is that at the beginning building the company, because we don't know what we're doing, we just became entrepreneur by accident. Then the first thing that we do is we prioritize the company, and then we don't take care of our health or friends.
And therefore, kind of, yeah,
You're wearing all the hats, and what happened, because I've been there, after 2 years you are exhausted. You are
yeah, and
so
this is not
tired.
only for, yeah, and this is not only for nice, kind of, this is not a nice to have problem. Oh, I have to take care about my family, or I have to take care about my health and my community. No, it's not. It's if you don't do this, you will not have the capacity yourself as the entrepreneur to run a successful business. You need your health. You need your family support. You need your community embedding. You need all of this. If you don't have this, you will not have the resources to run a successful business. I mean, you can do this over a couple of months, but not over a decade.
And then exactly. Well, for me, the first 2 years when I was working in the business was extremely intense. So you're wearing all the hats, you don't have resources, so you have to do the sales, the marketing, the branding, bringing the clients, you have to do, and then you don't have time. You don't have time to see your friends, you don't have time to eat. I remember my first business. I will wake up and I start work. And can you hear me? Yeah, it's on your end. Yeah, I lost your audio. Can you hear me?
Now I have
Okay.
your back. All good. Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning, I was working, and have time to eat. I was working in the whole day and eating only in the evening because I didn't have time. So imagine. So you bring disruptions for your health, for your relationship, until it actually works and things stabilize, and then you need to buy back those time. So at the beginning, it's very difficult if you haven't have a company before to have this 360 equilibrium. So what advice do you give to entrepreneurs building up now from scratch, that they are wearing all the hats? They don't have time for anything.
Well, kind of first, let's first start with the bad news. Kind of if your company is growing to whatever 10 people or 50 people or 100 people, is not getting better, right? It's not that you say, well, now I have a big team. No, you also have much more projects and much more pressure on your shoulder, and you're responsible for that number of people, and the salary has to be paid at the end of the month, and all this kind of all the other challenges. So it's the typical what early stage entrepreneurs believe is that they have to compensate the lack of resources with more efforts, right? That they have to work harder, right? And working harder is usually not producing better results or more results, right? It's more kind of use resources you have. Use resources you have in the community, get a mentor, right? There are also mentors out there. Get entrepreneurial peers to meet regularly to kind of to challenge your ideas, that you're not alone in the game, right? Don't reinvent how to run a business. Focus your energy on your innovation, your awesome products, your awesome services, on your awesome networks in the market, but do not reinvent how to run a company. There are business operating systems like Scaling Up, EOS. I'm a Bloom growth coach. Bloom is I think the best operating system at the moment. However, use whatever operating system to run how to run meetings, how to align, how to make a growth plan, how to work with KPIs, how to kind of all write all the dots down, reinvent everything. Then what I also saw on myself, I've built up 10 larger companies. My biggest enemy was always my own ego. So I was always believing kind of, if there is someone smart on this planet, it's me. I'm the only one who is able to even understand the company or the business or the market dynamics or the product or whatever, right? And the more you believe this, and the more I believe this, the less you ask for help. You less even believe that someone else in the market might be able to provide good advice, right? So kind of the more you fight your own ego in asking for help, in asking others, in asking for mentors, in using systems that forces you, right, to go into a rhythm, right? Business operating systems like Bloom or LifePilot brings you into quarterly rhythm. Once a quarter, you're forced to answer a certain set of questions. This makes tons of decisions afterwards easier. So don't believe you have to go through a hard time in the beginning and then it will be easier. No, it will not, right? Better to use systems right from the start and leverage resources you will find in your industry. Even if you're a lonely writer in the beginning as the single founder, there are enough others in the industry. You can have whatever every 2 weeks a short call, and this will be of enormous help on your journey.
Frank, the ego is a big part of it because we all entrepreneurs, we have ego. Otherwise, we won't be entrepreneurs. We think that we can do
Right.
better, right?
Yes.
So
I
the
know.
the the ego is all there. This is good news. The ego is there for you, for me, and for everybody listening. Because otherwise we won't be entrepreneurs in the first place. However, where we have to surrender that ego as we grow. Otherwise, I remember when I was starting my company, exactly the first 2 years, I, I make this, I was behaving like this. I'm a big deal here. This is my company. Everybody have to do what I say. And I'm tired. I am
Right.
so exhausted. It was at some point, all the clients want to speak with me, all the team want to speak with me. Have over 177 clients. I'm thinking these people are gonna kill me when I'm gonna sleep. Especially the tenants, they want to speak with me because they want to bring a friend or the family. It was me who has to authorize, and they knew that only Harry can authorize that. So now they all want to speak with me, and if it's at 4 a.m., it's fine with them. You know what I mean? And then the team is running everything. So I have this company with my big ego. I'm the big boss. Everybody has to do what I say. Nothing move without me. I don't trust anybody. And I'm so tired that I
Right.
cannot even function. So out of self-preservation, I think that I remember gradually I took Eva, was my manager. I said, Eva, from now you're Harry. She's like, what? Yes, you're Harry from now. So everybody that want to speak with Harry will speak with you. You decide. That's okay. I don't even want to know. Don't tell me. Whatever you decide is fine. And then I remember putting the desk. If you have a problem from now on, you propose 3 solutions. We pick your favorite. We try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't. So I'm doing this and I'm thinking to myself, at least I can sleep, you know. I didn't even care anymore. I just want to sleep and to have some peace. And bottom line, Frank, I started to implement these little things and I surrendered my ego. Now all of them were Harry. I was not interested to be the big deal anymore. I prefer to sleep, to have a stress, and to and and to rest. And guess what happened? One day I arrived to the company and they sent me home. They told me, Harry, go home. We don't need you here anymore. I'm like, what? And said they travel the world if you want. And I'm telling them, really? And who's gonna buy the paper for the photocopy? And they told me, don't worry, we can get our own paper for the photocopy. So all that's dynamic. So by accident, I turned myself into a leader, but it was kind of by accident. Not only turn myself into a leader, but empower leadership into the organization. I know by accident, but I didn't know. I didn't even know that I had to become a leader. I didn't even what I thought that being an entrepreneur is to have a product, you sell it, you cover up your costs, and you make some profit. That's what I thought that means being an entrepreneur. But
Unfortunately, that's not the case.
as
Now,
you
kind
grow,
of,
you
it's
find out. Yeah.
right. So it's a mindset thing, and I can really kind of, out of 30 years building up businesses, I can only share if you develop the mindset that we build up teams and not companies, and the teams bring the profit. Our role as the leader, as the visionary, as the one kind of seeing the big picture who have initiated it, is to develop leadership that everyone around us can succeed in a way which would be impossible without us. So we have to multiply the potentials of the people around us. This requires that we as leaders have an inner leadership system. If we don't have clarity about what we want, how shall we communicate it so that others are allowed to follow us? Right? So start with inner leadership. You kind of use systems for this. Don't reinvent. Don't go into a therapy. This is a couple of exercises. It's like a muscle, right? You also can learn AI. You can learn sales systems. You can learn engineering systems. So you can also have an inner leadership system for yourself, right? Systems like LifePilot will help you, right? And once you have clarity about yourself, you can lead others. You have auto leadership in your organization and in your community, and you can see yourself in the role that you make others succeed. And then it's also much more fun, right? To leverage what you have in your beautiful brain, right? Can you just say, well, I have clarity about where we shall go. I can align everyone around me, and I can make them execute on it in a way that would be impossible without me. So it's not that you step out of your business, it's that you leverage yourself.
Like, and how you discovered this? How, yeah, tell us how was
Well,
your process?
my process was really the painful way. So kind of the second company I built up was growing extremely fast. So we started in a team of four, and after 3 years, we were 1,800 people in 10 different countries, and we went
Oh,
public and kind of
wow.
all this. I took enormous, enormous growth pressure. And from the outside, this looks impressive. From the inside, there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of fights. There's a lot of resource conflicts and others, right? And the more everything was centric around me, I realized I'm the bottleneck, right? So I had to build up leadership around me. So I had a lot of colleagues, but I didn't have really leaders around me, right? And I was young. I was not a good leader yet, right? So
Around
I
what
had to
age, what type of company you were doing, and at what age this happened
Well,
to you?
it was an e-commerce software company in 90. We started in 93, 94. We went public in 97. This was my first IPO. I had then a second IPO with a food delivery company in 15 years later. So which was also 5,000 people in 72 countries, also quite successful. However, I also was in between 2018. I saw myself by accident or by a mix of the circumstances running four companies at the same time, right? And then became
Oh,
president of
wow.
it. So it kind of, a CEO stepped out and other things happened. So I became CEO of four companies at the same time.
Oh, wow. Big ones.
And
Oh,
this, no, well, no, not big ones, but companies, right? With a couple of whatever, 50 employees or 20 employees, kind of, it's not huge businesses, but and this
still they need to be run, right?
fragmentation of my own time, right? Also, always knowing that none of these plays gets enough resource from me. That means none of these plays can really reach its full potential. And I see this over and over again at entrepreneurs that not to the extreme that they run multiple businesses at the same time. Some of them do, but even within their business, there are usually much too many initiatives, projects, verticals, products, services. What's going on in most of the companies, either small or medium-sized, big, is not in balance with the resources available. The initiatives are usually kind of a multiply of the initiatives, right? So that means cost is growing much, much faster than revenue, and projects do not compound. Success is not compounding. So a project is not contributing to the success of the next project. So that success is to kind of, if there is a lack of clarity at the top, if you don't know what is actually bringing us to, or if it's not, most of it's not even clear, right, where we are heading to, that means you have strategic drift. Decisions that looked stable yesterday are questions again. Then we go to this market, or we have this opportunity, or we hire someone who is doing this side project, and right. And I had the same. I had the same in my companies until I understand that I'm the problem. I have to grow faster as a leader then my company is growing. If I don't do this, and the more my business is founder-centric, the more I become the bottleneck, right, for the next growth
Yeah.
phase. And if you understand as an entrepreneur that, of course, in the beginning, right, it's only you, but over time, right, you have to build up succeeding teams. And then they build up the success, not you. And then things become kind of your role in the company will be less operational over time, and your contribution to the company will be even higher.
And sometimes they ask me to do a motivational speech, and I always say, who motivates the motivator? Yeah. And in your case, the same thing, right? You need help, but nobody's going to feel sorry for you. You're the CEO of a large company selling a lot of money with a lot of employees. So everyone is expecting everything from you. Nobody feels sorry for you, and nobody even understand that you also need help. This happened to me. I know how you feel because you feel lost. And guess worse, right? Actually, Jarek Robin, the son of Tony Robbins, he was in this podcast before, and we have an interesting conversation about the journey of the CEO, right? And we were at the conversation. For example, 0 to 500,000 is like you're wearing all the hats, you don't have time to breathe, and you don't have time to be a leader to anything, right? uh, because you're exhausted. You don't think, and then you have until you make the first million. You're making this money, but the you start to bring your few employees, and now you need to start to turn yourself into a leader. Otherwise, you cannot grow. And I remember I was stuck there because I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to bring employees. I didn't trust anybody, and I was doing everything myself, and I was stuck there. And the problem was alignment, right? And I had to make a compromise that if I want to grow, I need to bring people in
Right,
because I didn't have more time. My first business was in property, so I only could do 7 houses by myself,
right,
and they were doing very good. I was doing very good money all by myself. But then I brought the people, and now I'm making the same money and I have more problems. And I'm thinking what I did because uh, promote people, but now we need more houses. Now I have the problem that I had before, plus the problem that the other houses have, plus the problem that all this entity combined creates that I was not aware of. So now
right,
I have to grow more and become more efficient and start to exactly to, and then I have my this ego issue there. So
right,
again, what you said, company going good, money's coming in, but it's so much stress, so much tension. Everybody, there is friction because I am the friction. I'm making the whole company about myself,
right.
everybody,
Yes,
because
right,
that's how I was doing at the beginning. Because at the beginning it was only on my own. I need to work well. So if I
right,
when I grow, I don't trust anybody. I know that my judgment can make this work. But Frank, the truth is that we had to change. We had to
right.
unlearn every step. The most you increase our sales, we had to forget about what we learned from 0 to 500,000 and then learn something new because we had to
And
kind of become a
and
different person,
here,
and it's so difficult.
right. And here, most of the entrepreneurs, when they go to the stage, what you just described, right? In the beginning, it was easy. We were just kind of whatever. We were sitting on one table, and then whoever had an idea, and then the more you grow, right, the harder it gets, and the more initiatives and projects and whatever are going on at the moment, the harder it is to make decisions and to execute on it. So here,
But then,
most
Frank, you have to change
entrepreneurs,
as a person. You also have to change as a person. At the
right,
beginning, for example,
and I
you
would my
design a product.
recommendation.
Yeah, at the
My,
beginning,
my
you design a.
recommendation,
Okay, go ahead.
my recommendation is not to overcomplicate it. Hundreds and thousands of entrepreneurs before you had been in the exactly same situation. 10,000, 100,000 of entrepreneurs that were scaling from very small to kind of the first one or the second or the first plateau or the second plateau, right? Had to come up with leadership, with structure, with leadership teams, with processes, with core values, with alignment, with long-term, all this. For this, systems exists. Don't try to reinvent. Don't go into a therapy for 5 years. You don't have the time. Simply copy paste the systems out there. No one today would invent a new sales system for their direct sales force. No one would invent a new engineering system for their software developers. These systems are well proven with thousands of companies or 10,000 of companies. And the same is for founder CEOs, right? For entrepreneurs, use inner leadership systems like LifePilot. There are multiple of this. And for companies, use scaling up, EOS, Bloom, and others. Just follow the script and you will see it so much. Maybe take an external facilitator in order to introduce the system if this is helpful, if you can't do it by yourself, right? Which is sometimes really helpful, but don't reinvent the wheel. You focus all your energy on the innovation, on the market, on the great product you develop, on the services you develop, on your customers, but not on how to run a company and how to do leadership.
So Frank, in the first company, the e-commerce company that was from 1,100 employees in 3 years, compared with the second company, which was the food delivery company that also you took to IPO. It was completely different journey, right? Both company grew, both company went to IPO, both company did well, but the second time was completely different because you knew what you were getting into and you knew what kind of person you had to be at this stage of the company. Whether in the first one, it took you by surprise that the same person that started the company, he had to be a different person when I write 500,000. He had to be a different person when I write the first million. He had to be a different person when I write 3 million. A different person when he said 3 million, right? And you on the first time, you have to discover what type of person you have to become as the company is scaling. And you're doing this by trial and error because very little people talk about this topic. And the reason for us is that very little people have done it until so many stages. Usually, what happened, and in this podcast, there are people that they are good only from 0 to 1 million. That's it. There are other people that they are good 1 million to 3 million or 1 to 10. There are other people 10 to 100 million. There are even people in this podcast that they are only good from 100 million to a billion. That's the only thing they do. If you give them a statue, they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with that, right? So very few people have gone to the process, Frank, that you have been through to the different stages of the IPO. And it's hard because you have to change yourself as you grow. And difficult. So where do you find the information? Where do you find it was like me, but trial and error, thinking about survival? Do you read any book? How
My
you
first kind
realize
of
that you have to unlearn and learn? Because I did this by accident also, that I had to unlearn the things that I did before when the company is small. I cannot do exactly the same thing with the companies is bigger because there are more elements in place, people, employees, teams, training, system, whatever. So how you find out all this?
So kind of first, it was never so easy to get all this information as it is today, right? Kind of the internet is full of it. There are tons of books, there are tons of whatever, YouTube or, there's really enough. So for me, it works the way that I kind of as we grow as a company, my personal growth is much than the growth around me. And the more I'm the bottleneck, the more I'm the slowdowner for the further growth of the entire organization, right? So I was forced to do something. So the first thing I had to learn that, being the leader in the room, no one expects for me to be the expert, right? And many others believe that they have to know it better, they have to know the market better, the product, the services, the technology, whatever, right? So I stopped to force myself to be the expert in the room, right? Second is I learned that leadership is serving. So I have to serve the people reporting to me that they are more successful with my mentoring or with my leadership than it would be ever possible without me. How many reporting to us are successful all through their report to us, right? And yeah, rather in their way than that we multiply their potential, right? So I had to learn that kind of I have to become a good leader, right? And over the years, I realized that my value contribution to the company is much, much bigger if I work on the company than I work in the company. Kind of if I look at long-term strategy, if I look at key relationships, if I look at whatever market dynamics, right? So that means the companies, I still run 3 companies, but I have CEOs on these companies, right? From day one, I have CEOs on these companies, right? So that I can work on these companies and not in the companies, since these are much better in operational excellence than I will ever be, right? But I'm really good in seeing the big picture. And if you realize kind of if your ego is strong enough that you realize, well, I'm really good in certain things. And I'm not so good in the things I usually also hate to do, whatever. Usually it's administration or finance or operations, processes, kind of all. If the other things I procrastinate anyway, right? I'm usually not good at this, right? Find resources who are 10 times better on this than you will ever be, right? And focus what you're really good at and manage your own ego and reduce your role to where it has the highest contribution to the company. Develop the leadership skills of leaders, leading leaders, which are different leadership skills than leaders leading employees, right? So that means you leverage yourself. This also ends up that you do the stuff that you love to do, right? Which means you get more energy out of it. Everyone is enjoying what you do since you bring a lot of value, right? And so what if everyone is aligned, the company is growing like hell, right? And the company is growing like hell, the less you have your feet in the door, right? And then you have your hands in everything. And this I had to learn the hard way, right? Since
Me
I had
too.
to, right? So I got feedback that I'm the bottleneck. I got feedback that I'm, whatever, everything is depending on me, no
My team
major
was telling
decision.
me, Frank, my team was telling me, Harry, the only problem in this company is you.
Right,
And I'm
right.
thinking,
And
after I found the company, after I brought all of you here, after all of you making a lot of money, and I am I am the problem of this company.
yeah, I mean,
That's
that's
why
potentially not
my
the right
thing.
wording, right? Without you, kind of the company would not be where it is today, right? Kind of, and should be grateful for it, right? But in order to bring the company to the next level of growth, right, the more you can scale yourself, right, with people that are 10 times better than you are in sales and engineering and product and consulting and, in operations, HR, and all these, what you need, right?
The truth is
This,
that we had to change. The truth is that as the company grow, we had to change. And because we don't know, we think that we have to be the same person as a startup and after the 500,000 and after the first million and we have to change exactly. You touch a very powerful concept. Leaders leading is, you know, at the beginning it's not like that, but as the company grows, it's not that you have to become a leader. It's that
no,
eventually you have to become a leader that
of
leads
leaders.
leaders, which is
Right.
is another
It's a,
different
right, it's
thing.
a different leadership style, absolute different leadership style.
Exactly.
So
So, and we have to.
if you hire a CEO or a chief operating officer or a chief marketing
Mhm,
officer, and you
mhm.
tell them what they should do, they will either leave, right? Or or it will potentially not reach their full potential within the company. So you really have to
You
you
have
have
to
to come up with
enroll
different
them and
leadership
pass
style.
the leadership to him
Yeah,
and to
absolutely.
them
Absolutely.
and to them
Absolutely.
from the space. How can I do to make your job
And
better?
And
And to,
classical systems like for inner leadership, for LifePilot, or for other leadership like business operating systems, they force you to do this. So there is no kind of, you don't have to go to a university or to a whatever 10-year leadership skill training or so. Use simple systems and kind of topics like motivation come by itself, right?
Frank,
Since you do
the
alignment.
so Frank, if someone is in love with this conversation, how people can find you, how this process works?
Well, I mean, look up in the internet, or you might wanna bring it to the show notes. It's www.life-pilot.org. It's kind of a system you can also do online. Use other systems. Connect with me over LinkedIn, and right. And if there's one thing you should start with, right, is getting brutal clarity of your own vision and your own intent. What do you want for yourself? How do you want to be in 10 years' time, right? And how can the company contribute to this? And then share it. It can be bad news, but share it, right? Be clear. And then if everything is clear around you, people will for you. And there is much less strategic drift. There's much less conflicts. And your company will grow itself since you become a better leader.
Thank you so much. I think I can speak with you for hours about this topic, and I think you're brilliant, and I understand what you have been through because you see, through IPO, you have one that he has 300 supermarket and 4,000 employees, and every time that I talk to him, I feel sorry for him. I'm like, oh my God, because I know what operation and the whole dynamics that he has to go through building that company and everything, and is so you have done fantastic, especially wow, the four companies CEO at the same time. That sounds challenging. So I think that there are I think, Fran, that we need to keep the conversation going. So the issue with this conversation is that we find out 80% of entrepreneurs doesn't make, solo entrepreneurs doesn't make more than 100,000 a year, right? So now we left with the 14%. Now this 14%,
Mhm.
when you see the type of people that we talking about it that leading these companies, is less than 1% of the whole population. So it's a problem that very little people, but it's little people that have the problem. They are leading the world. They are the people that creating the employment. They are dealing with the companies, and they are responsible for feeding the family. So the fact that this topic is not for too many people, the people that to address it, that the people need the world. So we need to keep going the conversation to have.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely. I
thank you so
deeply
much.
believe
I
in
think you're brilliant,
entrepreneurship,
Frank. I
right?
think you're
Thank
brilliant.
you for your awesome questions, right?
Pleasure.
I'm really curious how you cut this together, and then whatever. You send me then the link and all the materials to you.
Yeah. So yeah, we send you everything. Yeah. So thank you so
So,
much,
and
Frank. And
yeah,
for all of
thank
you follow
you.
pleasure. And for all of you following the podcast here in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneur like Frank break the wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
All right. Okay. Big hugs. Thank you. Hope to see you in person. All right. Bye-bye.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.